Hey everybody, Coldon here with another VOX Immortalis commentary guide. This video is for Yor'sahj the Unsleeping, and this is normal 10-man. And we decided to use one tank and two healers for this fight, although considering our gear is fairly strong for this level of content, you could probably get away with using three healers pretty easily. The Berserk timer is 10 minutes long, and I believe for us this was about a 5-minute fight on our first kill, so if you add another healer, you just have to have a certain DPS level to kill off an ooze in a certain length of time, which I'll talk about in a moment here. So throughout the fight, Yor'sahj will spawn a set of 3 various colored oozes every minute. And you can see he's spawning blue, black, and yellow right now. And these will spawn from their assigned location based on the color around the outside of the room. And it's up to your raid to decide quickly which ooze you want to kill and kill it off before it reaches Yor'sahj. Once an ooze reaches him, he will absorb that color and gain a various buff that increases his damage in some way based on the color. And because there are 6 possible colors but only 3 will spawn, you get somewhat random situations. That said, it's not completely random. And in fact, there are only 6 different color combinations that Yor'sahj can create. 6 different combinations of 3. So you can kind of get used to pretty quickly which sets you're going to get, and therefore which ooze you want to kill. So I'll mention our priority system and how we deal with that in a second. But right now, let's talk about the colored oozes that we're seeing and what they're doing. So he absorbed the blue and the black. So the blue orb, or ooze, causes this mana void to spawn. You see on the left there. And as soon as it spawns, it drains everyone's mana. So my mana just went down to 0 a moment ago. And now it's sort of climbing back up because I used Innervate on myself. So that's really the key, especially for healers. When mana void spawns, immediately use a mana gaining cooldown after you drain your mana. And this will give you a temporary boost that you need. So Innervate or Divine Plea or Priest Hymn, anything like that. This gives you the boost you need for mana to keep healing until you kill the mana void. Your DPS should immediately focus on mana void. And once it dies, everyone within 20 or 30 yards or so will gain back all the mana that it sucked up. So now my mana is basically full again. And that's pretty much the mechanic. So it's actually not that hard because there's no damage or anything involved. And as long as your healers can keep people up, then it's one of the easier colors. So we also dealt with the black on that one, which Spawn Forgotten One adds. These basically fixate on random people, do melee damage, and they also do a conal attack, but it's pretty infrequent and not very heavy damage. So we decided to stack up and AE those after we kill the blue one. So here we're killing the green ooze first because we get green, red, black. So this is a good time to talk about a priority that we set up. So the priority for ooze colors that we made, and you can change obviously for your own needs, is purple first, then green second, yellow third, black fourth, red fifth, and blue sixth. Now that said, if you use that priority system, you'll never actually kill initially. You'll never kill a black, red, or blue or ooze because there'll always be one of the other 3 available. So the reason that we did that, it was just we wanted to allow healing to be simple. Since we weren't worried about DPS requirements and we were using 2 healers, we wanted to simplify that. So you can see we got black again, so we got Forgotten Ones. You've seen those before. This time we also have red, and red causes Yor'sahj to cast a sort of a fiery bolt on 3 random people. And this does about 70,000 damage if you're right on top of Yor'sahj like we are. But the further away from him you get, the more damage the bolt does. So it's really beneficial if you have red to stack up on him. This was another thing that we tried to focus on, if we could, allowing us to stack up. The only ability that really prevents you from stacking is green. So if you get green and you can't kill it, which you'll see in a moment, then you have to spread out in some way. So I'll talk about purple, which we never actually see in action, and that's our first priority kill. Purple is kind of a weird mechanic. It basically causes anybody that gets healed to get a stack of Deep Corruption. And when you get 5 stacks of that Deep Corruption, it causes the player to do an AE that hits everyone in the raid for about 90,000. So obviously that seems strange, and we didn't want to have to worry about the stacks or our healing output. But if you want, you could obviously get like purple and blue combination. So in this case, we got purple, green, and blue. We could have killed green, and then purple would only be an issue on tank healing, since you wouldn't have to heal anybody else for the blue, since there's no damage on it. So that's one possibility. At any rate, we decided to do purple first because of that. So green, we're going to get here. We've seen blue already, so we're going to kill the mana void as soon as it pops and use our mana cooldowns temporarily after we get drained. Green causes these acidic bolts to land from the ceiling. So you'll see them come down here in a second. And these do moderate nature damage. You can see about 45,000 on me. But more importantly, they do an AE as well on the player they hit within about 4 or 5 yards. So when you get green, you need to spread out in about 5-yard radius around you so no one else gets hit. So you can see that we're in basically a small circle around him so that this doesn't hit anyone else. The last one I should talk about is related to the tank. So I mentioned we're using one tank, and you can see, it's sort of hard to tell, but in my grid, our tank, our paladin, is getting a stacking dot, and this is from Void Bolt. This is cast by Yor'sahj on the main tank, and it does moderate shadow damage, and it also stacks up a dot that increases damage every stack. However, when you have yellow applied, the yellow buff on Yor'sahj, Void Bolt is cast more frequently, and it also does an AE around the tank when it lands. However, it doesn't apply the dot, it's just the initial damage portion, and it allows him to attack faster. So that's kind of in the middle priority for us. It wasn't a big concern. But yeah, that covers all the colors. So really, it's about prioritizing the DPS on the first ooze that you want to get, and then dealing with the 2 that are remaining. So that was Yor'sahj the Unsleeping. Good luck, and thanks for watching.